Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 12 days away from its official release by Disney, Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, and even creator George Lucas. That is all set and ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very worried about or very curious and excited about, there's a lot of mixed feelings going into this movie for a lot of fans out there. And, you know, there's really no denying that this movie does indeed really serve as the most important film by Disney and Lucasfilm because of what it really means. It means exactly what's going to actually be the future of the Star Wars franchise, where it's all going to stand after this film, depending on how it performs at the box office. And so far, you know, from what we have been going over, based on all the different changes and the adjustments by Disney and Lucasfilm, things haven't been looking too bright for major parts of this movie in comparison to the initial cut of The Rise of Skywalker. Now, what's really intriguing about the last scene, or the third act, at the very end of the third act of Episode 9, involves multiple characters like Rey, Ben Solo, the Knights of Ren, Palpatine, and the Force Ghost, etc. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that Ben Solo is said to turn to the light side of the Force after witnessing a vision of his father, Han Solo, within the second Death Star wreckage. It's explained that after all of this, Ben Solo tosses his lightsaber into the ocean moon of Kef Bir and steals a TIE fighter to head for the world of Exegol to save Rey, as she is heading to confront Palpatine at this point in time. It's explained that eventually Kylo Ren heads toward the world of Exegol and lands his ship with no lightsaber, and is said to confront the Knights of Ren in front of Palpatine's base, where Ben Solo is said to have a struggle against them, where he gets very bruised up and banged up, where Ben Solo is actually able to use the Force at one point in time to throw the Knights of Ren away. This is where Rey uses a power that allows her to throw Leia's lightsaber through space and time that transports to Ben Solo's destination above her location in Palpatine's throne room, where Ben now uses his mother's lightsaber against the Knights of Ren. Now, the scene is actually said to progress to a sequence in which Ben Solo rushes down the elevator to Palpatine's throne room and realizes that Rey is standing in front of Palpatine. This is where the Force conduit technique begins, to where Sidious drains Rey and Ben Solo's energy from them, where this is where Ben Solo eventually stands with Rey as they both use Anakin and Leia's lightsabers to block the Force lightning from Palpatine. Eventually, Ben Solo loses the battle as well as Rey, where they become unconscious, where Ben wakes up first and saves Rey by giving her some energy. Now, after this, Ben Solo gets tossed into a pit, a bottomless pit into the abyss by Palpatine, never to be seen again, where Rey begins to hear the Force Ghost voices, starting off with Anakin Skywalker and others, where lastly Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost is said to join Rey's spirit, where each Force Ghost gives Rey a specific capability. Now, once Luke Skywalker becomes a part of Rey's spirit for the time being, more dialogue by Luke is said to be delivered to Rey in the moment, where she can feel Luke's presence as he begins to give her strength. It's said that this is what leads to Rey becoming the Chosen One by becoming a part of multiple Force Ghosts, and now 1,000 generations live in her now to destroy the Sith once and for all. Now, Luke Skywalker is said to be the final piece that allows Rey to gain the power that she needs to take on Sidious and battle him to the death, while Rey begins to gain her strength and her power against Sidious in order to destroy the Sith once and for all, and is actually busy destroying the rest of the First Order by Palpatine and the remains of the Resistance. However, it begins to realize that Rey's increase in power and pauses his attack on the fleet above and focuses his energy on Rey. Now, Rey blocks the lightning by using Anakin and Leia's lightsabers in a crossed position, deflecting the lightning back at Palpatine. The battle between the two is said to last roughly 10 to 15 seconds only, maximum, before Palpatine begins to lose control and disintegrates into thin air by the hands of Rey, who has now actually destroyed the Sith once and for all and is said to become the Chosen One at the very end of the film by Disney and Lucasfilm. Rey needs to sprint her way out as the throne room crumbles on Exegol. So let's go over a couple of parts about this, and the one part that really confuses me, alright? I want to actually go over this segment in the very beginning of this film that really confuses me, and this is the moment in which we have Ben Solo confronting the Knights of Ren, okay? So, on the world of Exegol, there is going to be a major confrontation between the Knights and Ben Solo on Exegol, and Ben Solo has no lightsaber. The thing that I don't understand is how in the world does Ben Solo get so bruised up and beat up by the Knights of Ren when he is an actual Force sensitive? He actually has the power to use the Force, to Force throw them everywhere, and to just use the power that he had even as Kylo Ren, and even before he became Kylo Ren, he was very powerful if you guys read the comics. So, with that being said, that's the one thing that confuses me, is how do the Knights of Ren even have a chance against Ben Solo, even without him having a lightsaber before, of course, Rey gives him, you know, his mother's lightsaber through space and time by using the flash fight capability. Now, the thing about that is that we're still not quite sure exactly, you know, about what the Knights of Ren are actually going to be like at the very end of the film. They may very well be Force sensitive in secret for all we know. Maybe they can use the Force against Kylo. That's a big possibility, without a doubt. The only thing that we do know in this movie is that they don't have lightsabers. And that's the one mistake that I think, you know, J.J. Abrams made, is because originally the Knights of Ren in The Force Awakens were supposed to have lightsabers. And I think that J.J. should have really stuck with that idea, because that would have really upped the stakes for Ben Solo on the world of Exegol, fighting, imagine this, fighting 6 Force-sensitive individuals with red lightsabers. I think would have been a lot better than them using the primitive weapons that they have, such as the axes and the spears, etc., etc. So that, to me, doesn't make all that much sense. Now, as we progress down to the world of Exegol, I want to go over how Ben Solo is able to transfer energy to Rey before the Force goes tune in to Rey's mind and become a part of Rey's spirit. So, the thing about this scenario is that we have a moment in which Ben Solo is able to use a power that is rooted to the netherworld, essentially, where he's able to transfer energy from a different realm over to Rey that allows her to wake up. And this basically allows her to gain strength. Once Ben Solo does this, he defends Rey and he gets killed by the hands of Palpatine. That's when the Force Ghosts of the past know that they have to step in at this point in time, that there is no other choice, but they have to become a part of Rey's spirit, either temporarily or permanently. We're still not quite sure, but they do become a part of her spirit in the time being, and that Luke Skywalker is said to be the final piece to the puzzle, where she actually feels his presence aside herself as she fights Palpatine. So that's where the dialogue obviously comes into play, where Luke Skywalker says, "1,000 generations live in you now." Here's my problem with this, is that it seems like that they're trying to make Rey a god, almost. And we do know that each and every Force Ghost gives Rey a different capability in this movie. You know, like Anakin gives her the power of the wills, as we went over. Luke Skywalker is said to actually give her physical strength, actual, you know, real strength to block the Force lightning against Palpatine and to redirect it back at him. The problem that I have with Palpatine's death is not only how short it really is and how fast it goes by, but it's the fact that he dies by the hands of his own power. You would think that a master of all things, a Sith Lord, would know that there's a possibility that maybe she could deflect the lightning back at him if she's got 2 lightsabers in her hands. You would think that he would know that, but maybe, of course, you know, he didn't know that she would be able to redirect all of the power back at him. I don't know. Just seems like poor writing to me. If you guys really want me to be honest, it feels like it's poor writing that J.J. Abrams had to use Palpatine's own power against him in order to kill him, and basically J.J. pulls off a major Harry Potter moment in which it's very similar to Voldemort's death, where Harry Potter uses, you know, the energy back at him and he disintegrates into nothing slowly and vanishes into thin air. It's literally like the Deathly Hallows Part 2, without a doubt. So, like I say, I mean, this particular final scene of The Rise of Skywalker, I think it's going to have a lot of mixed reactions among many fans around the world. Again, we are 12 days away from this thing. You know, a little under 2 weeks, and it's really not all that far off at all. You know, we got 12 days, we got the premiere on the 11th over in Japan, and the other premiere on the 16th over in Los Angeles, so that's another thing to look forward to, as we will be getting more reactions about that movie in particular. So, anyways guys, I would really love to hear what you guys have to say about the final scene of The Rise of Skywalker, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are No.